Hi everyone, Stepan here. The round 9 game from Liberec, I need to give you context too. So after 8 rounds, I had 6 out of 8, which is on paper an amazing score. 6 out of 8 is great. However, all of my games but one were played against people who were lower rated than me. And since I had a devastating loss in round 3 against a 1600 opponent, I had barely managed to regain all of my rating points, and I was at +5, +6, something like that. So finally, after my win in round 8, I had a plus score rating-wise, and even if I lost round 9, I wouldn't be losing rating points, which, since I invest a lot of money into tournaments, is important to me. The feeling of having spent a week and a lot of money and then just to lose rating and get beaten by lower rated opponents is tough for me. That's a psychological problem, and it's going to be happening, of course, but it's just hard to face for me. So once I finally got paired against a higher rated opponent for round 9, I was really excited. It was about 9 o'clock in the evening. And the best thing was, if I somehow managed to win the game, I would be among the tournament leaders. I was, after round 8, I was 6th out of 120 people. I've never played on top boards that late in the tournament, especially not in the last round. I played on board 3 in the last round, and I was, as I said, really excited. And I don't know if you know the feeling of not being able to sleep, and then once you don't fall asleep quickly, then you get irritated and it goes on throughout the night. That's what happened to me. Hasn't happened for a long time. It happened before round 9. Round 9 was played at 9 o'clock in the morning, and 11 p.m. came, midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I fell asleep at around 5 a.m. I don't remember when or how, but my alarm went off at 6:30. Because I had to leave my hotel room before the last round, so I needed some time to pack and all of that. I felt hungover, tired, I couldn't see anything, I didn't feel like playing, and it just... I felt anxious because I was going to play a game and I was completely unprepared because I was tired. So yeah, that was unfortunate. Still, I mean, during the game I didn't feel tired. You get a rush of adrenaline and everything seems normal, but would have been better had I had enough sleep. Okay, now enough about that. I sort of want to give you a brief context about my state of mind and stuff like that. So yeah, coming into round 9, I had a chance to be among the tournament leaders and win a prize. And the most important thing for me, even if I lost the game, I didn't come there for nothing. I still had a good tournament. Okay, my opponent always plays e4. He is a young player. I want to say 18. Maybe he's younger, maybe he's a few years older. I'm not sure, but high school, beginning of college, something like that. And of course, I was going to play c6. Now, in some of his games, he plays the main line, the classical, with d4, d5, and then knight c3. And after the game, he told me, I didn't want to play that because I saw you played knight f6, the Tartakower, or the Korchnoi, whatever you want to call it. And I'd only played that once. I wasn't going to play it against him. I was going to play bishop f5, which I don't usually play. And in one of his games, he played the Fantasy, which he played against me in this game. So e6, which is what I usually play, knight c3, bishop to b4, and bishop to d2. Now, there are 2 games in the database where against bishop to d2 I took on c3. And I knew he had to see those games and prepare against that. But I did prepare against it too, and I sort of had an idea what he was going to do. I knew what the best engine line was, and I thought he was going to go for that. And of course, you can play a normal move here. You can play knight e7, which I almost played. So knight e7 is the best move and the theoretical move. Playing bishop takes c3 gives white an advantage, but it's tricky to hold it. I didn't score well with this move, but in both games where I did play it, I was winning. One of them I lost, one of them I drew. But out of the opening, I got out okay. And I thought, okay, I mean, he knows that I'm going to play it, that I could play it, and he prepared, but I prepared as well, so let's do it. I've got nothing to lose. So I took, after I thought for about 5 minutes. Okay, so bishop takes c3, and the point is d4. If you take fe4, then queen h4 wins for black. In my first game, my opponent, when I played this, my opponent played d5, and I took on f3. That's tricky. But here, my opponent played the best engine move, knight to h3. And the reason I prepared for this move is I played a rapid game on Lichess, lost it, got destroyed with this move, and actually had my points refunded because I played against a cheater. A few days later, I got a notification from Lichess that my points were refunded. And I didn't react to this move well. I didn't understand how I should be playing against it. And after that game, of course, when you lose a game in one of your favorite openings, then you need to study it. I saw that knight h3 is the best engine move, and I saw the best responses for black, and that's to play e3. Now, this move occurring to you, if you haven't prepared it, is unlikely, to say the least. The point of the move e3 is that you want the f-pawn to stay on f3, so the structure is kind of bad. And also, once the queen recaptures the pawn, he played queen d3, I played knight f6. There are sometimes ideas of knight to d5 taking the dark squared bishop. Okay, he did take on e3. Now, knight d5 straight away runs into queen e5. Maybe that's still okay, I've got queen f6 and stuff, but I played knight bd7 first, which is okay. And my opponent played knight to f4. Now, knight to f4, I wasn't... okay, the engine says knight f4 best move. I didn't know the engine line any further. I was expecting queenside castles. That's usually what came in my preparation after that game online. But my opponent played knight f4, and the idea is he wants to prevent knight to d5. I mean, it's a very simple move. And in this position, I have two options, or at least I thought I had two options. I can castle, which seems sensible, and let's say castles queenside. And now this is what my second game in this line looked like, something like this, where I started the queenside attack, my opponent started the kingside attack. I was quicker and I was winning, but then I blundered, and you can find the game in the playlist. Something like bishop to d2 here and knight to d5, and black should be slightly better, but anything could happen. This is just, there's no way of telling what could happen. But I blundered. There were ideas of knight b6 when I was preparing this, but not in this position, and after knight b6, white should be better. My opponent played bishop to d2, saving his bishop, and I played knight b to d5. And now whatever happens, white is better. And after he took, I thought for a long time here, I'm gonna say 5 minutes or something like that. Of course, the obvious move is knight takes, and after queen e5, queen f6, and something like queen to e4. But then it's very hard to develop my bishop. On the other hand, if I do this, I can castle safely. If the bishop b4 has been prevented, if c4, then knight e7. But I took with the c-pawn. Now the engine says white is immediately winning, and the reason is simple, bishop to b4. But I thought having my bishop outside of the pawn chain and ideas of knight g8, knight e7 is going to suffice, and that I was going to be able to develop. So I played bishop d7, bishop to d3, and queen to c7. Queen c7 maybe prepares castles queenside in some positions, but it also prevents the immediate c4. My opponent castled, I played h6. I want to prevent queen to g5. Now that my queen has vacated the d8 square, my knight is hanging if queen g5, g6. Rook fc1, preparing c4, bishop c6, and c4. And here I played rook to d8. And of course, visually and practically, white's position is much easier to play. Black cannot castle, white has the bishop pair, white has the central space, white has the central pawn breaks, and it's not clear what black can do to untangle. My opponent played queen f2 here, which is an excellent move. This simply prepares queen to g3 in some positions. And I played queen to d7. Now, queen to d7 isn't a good move if my opponent reacts properly, but he didn't. Of course, it seems that I'm threatening dc4 and taking on d4 with check, so he played rook to d1. And here I actually did have a chance to equalize. This is all zeros now. So my opponent made one tiny mistake and it's all zeros. The point is, which I didn't play this, I wanted to play for a win. The point is dc4, bishop c4, and knight to d5. If the knight isn't taken, the knight e7 and castles, and you're playing against an isolated queen's pawn, which is blockaded so many times and attacked that probably black is going to keep it in place for the rest of the game. So bishop d5 and queen d5 and rook ac1, for example, and now simply f6. And your idea is king to f7, rook he8, and opposite colored bishops, isolated queen's pawn, perfectly equal. I would rather be black, but that's my personal preference. After something like rook c5, you can play it safely with queen d7. You can even take on a2. I think both are okay. But instead, I went for the attack. And this was my intention all along. I was going to develop like this. And I didn't understand the position. It's not because I was tired, even though that must have contributed to my poor judgment. I probably would have played it anyway. I went knight g8. Of course, this allows queen to g3, which is why he played queen to f2. He did play queen g3, and I cannot go g6 or f5 or anything like that, or it's just I lose. So I went knight to e7. Of course, queen g7, rook g8, queen h6, and now here's the point: dc. Okay, dc4. If he takes, then bishop takes f3, and I want to be black again. So I'm not sure who is in trouble there. So he played bishop to h7, which is what I expected. I have to go to f8, and here he continued h4. Okay, now I knew I was worse probably, but I liked my chances. The engine says +3, so I'm completely lost. I had no idea I was lost. I thought my position was worse, but practically speaking, I had chances. I played queen c7, trying to infiltrate via g3 at some point. He played queen g5, preventing that, and I played rook to d5. He said he missed this move, and actually went deep into the position and calculated everything, and from here on I thought I was winning. Now, the reason why that's not true is very subtle, and he only saw it when the moment came, and that's when I saw it too and realized that I was completely losing. But let me show you why I thought I had a good position. Okay, so queen g4, rook h8 attacks the bishop. If the bishop moves away, then I can simply play rook to h5, and I want to be black. Bishop f3, rook h4, queen g3, queen h2. So he has to play queen to g7. I play rook to f8, and now he does something. He could repeat, but I wouldn't have repeated, I think. I would have found something different. But he played rook e1, and this is what I'd expected. Threatening ideas with rook e6, and if takes, then everything is hanging. And I thought rook h5 has to be a winning position for me. Okay, of course I saw rook e6, and this is a great exercise. Try to see if rook e6 works for white. I thought rook e6 is impossible, and I was wrong. Okay, so if rook e6 isn't played, then I don't know what to suggest for white. If the bishop moves away, then I simply play rook to h8, and excuse me, I simply play rook to g8, and then queen to g3. Okay, so rook e6. The rook cannot be taken because of bishop check, of course. So the only sensible variation is rook to h7. And here's my calculation. Well, I take on h7, and he is losing a piece. If queen h7, then f e6, knight up. Thank you very much. Doesn't work. And if rook e7, then queen e7, and bishop e7, and rook to g7. If he plays rook e1, I go rook fg8. If he takes on f8, I'm up a bishop. I'm up a bishop for 2 pawns, but basically I'm up a bishop because I have a passed pawn on the c-file, and I'm going to win this easily. But he found the winning move for white. When you turn on the engine, the move he played is +8 for white. Every other move wins for black. I just didn't see rook takes c6. I didn't see it. Of course, when you go in for rook d5 and rook h5 and you miss rook c6, you're going to lose the game. He didn't see it either, so he wasn't lucky. I'm not trying to imply that, but you know, it could have gone differently had he not seen it either. And now, of course, whatever I do, I just lose. I took with the b pawn, queen h7, and I'm losing everything. I wanted to resign here, but I tried for some tricks. Rook g8, of course, bishop e7 wins another piece, but I played queen g3, and he played bishop to g5, which, of course, threatens my rook, saves the piece, and so on. Rook g6, queen h8, and here I resigned. It would have been impolite to continue. So again, yeah, in this position, unfortunately, I missed rook c6. I'm okay. I'm unhappy that I was so unaware that knight g8 loses on the spot and that dc4 equalizes immediately. But I was in an attacking mindset. I wanted to complicate the position. I was suffering because I couldn't castle, so I just wanted to try something sharp. Of course, if queen g3 isn't played, and after knight e7, or after knight e7, if the g-pawn isn't taken, then black is better. If, I don't know, rook e1, and I castle, then of course black is better. I have a clear target, my pieces are great, no problem. So he had to go for that. Yeah, I misjudged the position. Again, this position after dc is equal, but I want to be black. So, after 9 rounds, I finished on 6 out of 9, which is still okay, an okay score. So, it was about noon, around noon, when I finished the game, maybe 11 o'clock. I had a bus leaving for Prague at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I had a bus for leaving for Croatia in the evening at 10 o'clock. So without any sleep, I wandered the streets of the Czech Republic. Yeah, it was a good tournament. I mean, whenever I get to face lower rated opponents, I get to fight my fear of losing, which is what's hindering me and hindering my progress, I think. So this was great training. These games, which I had to win and had to win and had to win, because you're facing somebody 200 or 300 points lower rated, are very stressful, and I'm happy I got to play it. In the end, I won like 1 rating point, which is okay. I could have lost a lot because I lost in round 3, so this is okay. Okay, so this was Liberec, the last tournament I played so far. Probably I'm going to be playing in April, although that's not certain, a tournament. And the Croatian League is going to start in 10 days. So that's the next thing I will be playing. Thank you very much. I hope you liked the video. Sorry for the poor game in this one, and stay tuned for more chess. Bye bye.